So reciprocity is big with you.
Yo, yeah, massive. Even still to this day, like with clients, if we lost clients, I have never looked at my clients, like genuinely, I don't look at them as, I need to make money off you. I'm friends with them. And if they don't work with me, they don't work with me, but I'm still going to be friends with them. I don't mind. Like if they're good people and they make different decisions and they don't use my service, that's all right. Like I'll still be friends with them and hopefully we can do business.
Good morning, good day, good evening, and good afternoon from where you are in the world. This is the Unplugged podcast number 50. This was a bit of a milestone, very, very special episode with Callum Hock and myself, co-founders of Connekt Coaching. And today we have a very special guest, someone we've both known for about, 12 to 15 years. And that's Irish entrepreneur living in Australia, Ollie Gordon.
Hey, how are you guys? Good, thanks. Good to see you.
Thanks for being here, Ollie, a good friend of Connekt Coaching. Ollie is an Irish expat who moved to Australia on a working holiday visa and ended up building one of the most respected labour hire companies in the game. After starting out on the tools in Perth, from concrete pours to site supervision, Ollie spotted a gap in the market and launched Trade Connects. In under a year, he turned it into a seven-figure business, and he's been a finalist in the Irish Australian Business Awards and is known not just for what he's built, but for how many others he has helped along the way, especially young Irish tradies landing in Oz. This is a chat about risk, resilience, and making your own luck. Ollie Gordon, welcome to the pod.
Thank you. Thanks for the intro.
Mate, it's been a while since, it's been a minute since we've seen you. Obviously, we've seen all the amazing stuff you did alongside Kel and Ray. We saw all of the amazing holidays you've been on, especially the most recent one when you went home to Ireland. But you seem to be here, there, and everywhere, all over Australia, jet setting and going to events. Tell us a little bit about how you got there from all the way from traveling, backpacking, I'm guessing, to Australia from Ireland, starting out in the trades. I think you've got some building and chippy background in joinery and things like that. Tell us how you wound up here in the first place, because that's a big leap in and of itself to fly all the way halfway across the world and try to figure it out, especially in Perth. Give us a bit of a rundown of the backstory of Ollie Gordon.
Yeah, no worries. Look, I suppose I'll start. I grew up in the west coast of Ireland. I grew up there all my life. Same as you're sort of, sometimes you're to the circumstance of what's happening. And at that time when we finished school, everyone was learning trades. It was time of the massive construction boom in Ireland and all over the world. And by the time we finished our trade and all that, it was mass exodus. There was no work. Like, and even to think now that there was just no work. Like, we just had nothing to do. That time, I'd done my 4 years work with my uncle, done an apprenticeship with him, and then decided after all that, we had no work. I was going out with a girl at the time that we were just a young couple, and we broke up. So I decided to move to Glasgow. So I moved to Glasgow. It was quite funny. I moved to Glasgow by chance. Knew no one really in Glasgow, and it was like either go to Glasgow or go to London. And a guy pulled up. I was roofing the house where I'm from on the west coast of Ireland. The guy pulled up. I said, I'm thinking about leaving, heartbroken, don't know what to do. And I said, I don't really know. London's expensive. And he goes, well, I have a friend in Glasgow. Cheaper to live there. Like, the rent is cheaper and all that. 60 quid a week or something for a room. And I said, fucking sure, I'll go to Glasgow. So I went to Glasgow. I went over first and got my tax file number my tax file number over there. I went over to Glasgow for a year, and that's when I waited there for a year. And then unfortunately I was only over there a few weeks and my father passed away. So this is just going on to how I ended up going to Australia. And there's probably loads of other stuff back there as well, but ended up coming back to coming back home for that funeral. That was only after 3 weeks. I think I just got my first week's pay, so it was a very difficult time. And we literally had no money that morning. My father passed at 3:00 in the morning. I got a phone call from my brother. And I remember going in. I used to get up at 5:00 to go to work. I still got up and went to work. I told my boss, I said, I have to take a week off work. I want to go home. My father just passed away last night. So I went home and done all that and spent 4 or 5 days at home, buried my father, and came back to came back to Glasgow. It was a very, very dark and lonely place, and it's a very dark and lonely place. I was, but then when all that going on was just twice as much compounded between like not having a girlfriend that you had for 5 or 6 years, and then losing your father. So it was a year on from that. A year on from that, I made that decision. People were going to Australia, knew how good it was over there, and I made the decision really to Australia. Then and go to the Perth. A lot of people were going to Perth to go to the mines, and all the opportunity was there. So that's really how I ended up landed in Australia. Never in my life thinking I would ever go to Australia. I wanted to live the Irish dream, marry a local girl and have a few kids, and the usual stuff, the really traditional type of person. So it just happened all sort of by accident, but very glad it has happened,
So you landed in Perth. Did you know anyone? So Glasgow was cold and lonely and dark. You landed in Perth, so it's probably the opposite. But did you know anyone in Perth? Was it still lonely, or did you have a group of friends that you were able to tap into?
I travel with a few people. There were more acquaintances to people I travel with. Travel with a few people, and there was some people from home over there. It wasn't that lonely in Perth because I have relations in Perth who are like maybe an hour outside the city, and they've they're full Australian. Their father had moved over 50, 60 years ago. But it was nice to have that family, and that's one thing that I found. Even my sister lives in Sydney with me now, is that having that family connection, like everyone is friends and everyone is that, but your family sort of are always sort of there for you as well. So it wasn't as lonely moving to Perth. And while I was in Glasgow, I had my carpentry done, but then I done a construction management degree. Goes back to what my mindset was. I done it online. I got a loan from the credit union, and I paid for an online course to get a degree in construction management. So in the evening times, actually I had 1 year done before I moved to Glasgow. That all happened very quick. And then the second year I'd done it in the evening times in Glasgow online, and got my qualification as a construction manager, and while I was working as a carpenter. And when I came to Perth, I was just, let's just say, look at the Irish as we've applied for jobs to get to the mines, and I ended up landing my dream job with a construction company called Westforce Construction. Phil Zark, a guy, I think he just recognized my resume was like carpenter, all these people. Like I'm into hiring now, so I know what to look for in people. I'm a carpenter, but I went and I've took my own initiative, done an online degree, and I was a carpenter, but then I also had learning the technical stuff. I was interested, so he took me on as a junior project engineer, which was like an absolute dream come true for me.
Brilliant. And so just from a timeline perspective, what year are we talking now?
Well, I moved over in 2011. We flew in on the 3rd of October 2011, and the day we landed at 11 o'clock at night, and we're staying in a backpackers in Perth, and it was $25 a night. We arrived at 11 o'clock, and we had no fucking money. Like I had €1,200 maximum, and I had a big loan in Ireland and everything. Just had nothing. And I remember we stayed in the TV room the first night we landed. We stayed in the TV room the first night to save the $25, and we booked in the next morning at 10 o'clock, So that was October 3rd, 2011. So that's what's almost 14 years ago now.
Yeah, right. And from there, you got the job in the mines, and that can be a bit of a tough arrangement. Did you sink into that quite nicely, or was it challenging?
No, that was like a dream, It was really a dream. Like I had to deal with some personal stuff. I had some friends at the time that were making life quite difficult. Like just as friends that got a bit. I only know it now as I've got older and that, like quite a bit jealous and had these things in their head about me. I'm like, guys, I'm just trying to make myself better. I'm not really mind what you do. Like they were like carpenters and they thought I was trying to just pull you down. It really, really pissed me off. Like, because I didn't know how to handle that.
Was this back in Ireland? This
was even when I got the job, the step from sort of a carpenter into a more like officey type role. Just a lot of people who I thought were sort of friends couldn't really handle that. That was difficult because I had a chip on my shoulder. It was like, I wanted to do well. My dad had died. So I wanted to help my mum out. I wanted to help my sisters out financially. And I don't really have time for you making snide remarks and me thinking I'm great in the office. So I just had a chip on my shoulder. But going to the mines was actually really good. I had 8 months. 8 months before I went home for my brother's wedding. Really loved it. Good mentor, Phil Zark, who was with Westforce. He was a really good guy. And I just enjoyed learning, really, really enjoyed learning. I came from like working on the tools for maybe, 5, 6, 7 years, and go into an office and learning how things worked in the back end. It was just my dream. Like, it's just to learn how you price things and how you charge and all that sort of stuff. It's just brilliant.
So this is interesting. Have you always been a learner? Have you always been a sponge for information? I mean, we'll get to where you are now, which is
Yeah.
I'm a highly successful entrepreneur, but we want the backstory as to the challenges, the mental hurdles you had to overcome, and what traits you have that all successful entrepreneurs have. And one of them, with your learning, have you always been a sponge?
Yeah, look, I'll just give you an example. I done another podcast, and it came to mind. Look, when I was young, I wanted to be a mechanic, number one, first. And I remember looking, I was like, how do these cars work? I'd love to figure out how it worked. And I just wanted to know. I wasn't willing to let it go. But my father actually wanted me to work for him. So that created a bit of tension. He was like, why won't you work? I said, I don't want to fucking work for you. I want to go and work in this garage, which created tension. And I didn't mind. I didn't care about the consequences of falling out with him and creating havoc. I said, I want to go. And I went over and I learned how to learn mechanic work with a local mechanic. And I just absolutely loved it, figuring out how things worked, learning different things, how to fix things, how it all worked. It was just brilliant. Yeah. And always wanted to improve myself and know a bit more about how things work, even your mindset, but then also the skills as well. Yeah.
Did you appreciate at a young age that your mindset is one of those tools that if you refine, it will pay dividends for the rest of your life? Or had that not clicked yet?
Let me see. No, not really. I suppose, I think I was just speaking to you before we took off. I think it clicked when later on, it was just, I forgot, I was doing it for myself, to improve myself. And I remember saying, like, someone said a comment to me. I was a carpenter, and someone said to me, I said, I want to be maybe a woodwork teacher someday, or I wanted to do something different. It wasn't that I ever looked down at being a tradesman. I remember someone saying to me, like, in Ireland, it's a bit like that, or in tall poppy stuff. It's like, I hope you end up pushing a wheelbarrow. Like, and he said something around, that really stuck with me. I'm like, do you know what? I'll fucking show you. Like, so I always wanted to improve and learn more. And that was his sort of, I always wanted to learn more. I always wanted to have, like, even have the new type of tool, the new gadget, how to do things, even when I was a carpenter, how to make things, a jig to make doors, or make hanging doors quicker. I always wanted to do the thing that was more efficient. It wouldn't be just do it to make the money, it was do it to find the coolest way, best way to do it, to make ourselves better.
Yeah, nice. Cool. Yeah. And so how did you end up in Sydney? So you mines. And by the way, what did it mean to you on a personal level once you found that mining job? Did it give you a level of?
Honestly, I was just so proud, because like my aim and my two, I had some massive goals, because my aim was to make a transition from being on the trades to get into like an opportunity to be in something that might be business or learning business. And I was very proud about that. But then also to get to the mines, financially was great. We're earning good money. We didn't have to spend much, and I could help my mum and that out because we didn't have a lot of money back in Ireland.
Yeah.
My sister was going to college, so I could send money back if they needed it. And
this is interesting. There was a bigger purpose.
Yeah.
As to why you were doing what you were doing. It wasn't just about buying a car for yourself or buying fancy things. There was a bigger why for you to persevere and grow yourself and go through all the challenges that would have come your way to even get up and leave Ireland and come down to Australia.
For sure. That was 100%. And I always said, like, I would have never have done as well as I have done for myself, only for my father did pass away, and I had that extra drive to, you know what, get out of my fucking way. I don't care. I'm going there, and you can just get out. So that has been a massive factor of it. And I found out later in life, we can go on later on, so we'll get to it. But after I'd hit them goals and they'd finished their colleges and all that, that's when it's like, where's my why now? Like, what do I do now? I don't have no reason now. But yeah, no, it was a massive achievement at that time to get to the mines, be proud. And even my mum, like in Ireland and that, it's like everyone's always proud if you go to college and you do all that. My mum was very proud that, I was working as an engineer and in the mines, and I was doing well and I was happy. I was very proud. And I was able to also help my sisters and mum as well. So it was good.
Beautiful. I love hearing that.
It's interesting to me, some of the parallels to your story to mine, because I kind of fell into a trade as well, and I went on to work in the mines and the gas refinery, building one of the biggest gas refineries in Australia, and also losing my dad in the process, and having that be a huge driver to kind of make up the difference with family finances and making sure everybody's covered. So
Yeah.
I can relate to that, and that in and of itself. And you said the mines was amazing for you, and it is amazing, but it can be a bit dog eat dog out there as well. And you do have to have a mental fortitude and a presence to be able to show up each day and I guess put yourself in a position where you continue to be respected and you are able to get the job done while still maintaining the friendships or the the leadership status of everybody else in the crew, because as soon as they see a little bit of weakness, they absolutely will not follow you anymore. So and once you've got that one strike, it's kind of really, really difficult to gather all of that back. So for me, you must have already had quite a sense of having a strong mind, having the ability to, you said a couple of times, there was those moments where you were just like, get out of my way, I'll show you. And it was like almost like a determination or a heightened sense of focus that nothing was going to stop you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd love you to speak on that, because I know for me, even when you were talking about the tall poppy syndrome from your friends when you went from carpentry to the mines, but I also experienced it. I experienced that jump, but I also experienced it when I was at the mines, and I was starting to tell people about the next vision that I had and the next journey that I wanted to go on, and everyone was like, "You're crazy, you're mad, you're like, who do you think you are?" type thing. You know what I mean? They used to say things like, "Who do you think you are, Tony Robbins?" or something like that. Because I was working out there, but I was also always listening to these, a lot of Tad James, a lot of Tony Robbins, a lot of other, Richard Branson. I was listening to these audiobooks all of the time. So tell me more about that natural mental fortitude that you had, and also what it was like when you transitioned from the mines into the next stage of your adventure.
Yeah, look at it. I still get it. Everyone's saying, "Oh, geez, you're away on another course." I'm like, "Yeah, well, do you know what? Maybe you should come on one. It'd be better than trying to pull the piss out of me. You could have a better life."
That's
But
it.
it's like, "Oh, you should give me the money. I'll mentor you." I'm like, "Oh, it's okay." I'm trying to get away from what you do. But yeah, look, that's the thing. It's funny how even you get it here in Australia. It was like that bulletproof thing was when, especially when I had a chip on my shoulder. I remember it was just like I'm gonna fucking knock someone out here. Like, if you don't get out of my way, get out. Because but no, the mindset. What was the question where we're going to? What was?
Well, I just felt like you had this natural mental fortitude, and yeah, it might have been forged in the fire of losing your father and your girlfriend at the time. But it seems like it was like just a decision or something that you made that was like, no matter what, I'm making this work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for that part alone, it was that. Like, I'm very impulsive as well. Like, I made that decision that was going to work. Like, I made the decision to go to the mines and make money in the mines, like that, and then it all happened and fell into place. And also, I made the decision of leaving the mines like that. Like, there's more to life than this. I was in the mines after being 6 weeks at home. I was 6 weeks in Ireland and came back, and I seen like someone walking down for breakfast that I seen 6 weeks ago at the same time in the morning, crossing the roads. I'm like, fuck me. I said, I don't give a fuck.
Exact same thing happened.
I'm like,
the exact same thing happening 6 weeks later. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
I'm like, this is deja vu. Like, some old guy going down and probably divorced twice or something. I'm like, I don't care if you give me 10 grand a day. Do I 10 grand a month? I am getting out of here. So I handed in my notice and I left the mines and that swing, and it was just that, like, get out of here. But I ended up, so after that, what the determination then was, I didn't really know what to do then. You get a bit lost. So I ended up getting a job with what did I do first? I sort of messed around doing my own thing. I was doing like working, doing a bit of training and assessing and qualifications. I was very entrepreneurial, qualifications for carpentry, and then working with other companies doing different things with like VOCs for machinery and stuff. which I didn't really like doing that sort of work. And then I ended up meeting a guy and he gave me a job as a recruitment consultant, as a like trainee at BDM sales. That was sort of a dream as well. So
Are we still in Perth at this time, Ollie?
yeah, still in
Yeah.
Perth. Yeah. That was good. I was still got to sort of be in an office environment and learn business. So after I left the mines, I got down there and got a job with a guy who set up a business doing recruitment and labor hire in Perth. So I never done that work before, but naturally good at building relationships and sales, and that was some natural talent of mine, So
I've always found in Australia, I don't know what it's like in Ireland, but in Australia, every Irish person seems to be a sales weapon. I don't know, it must be something in the water or what it is, or the accent. It's like there's immediate trust. You trust all Irish accents. And I think the guard comes down straight away and everyone just enjoys talking to someone who has an Irish accent. I could see you just jumping on the phone and really knowing where you're going with the conversation, but the person ends up buying from you.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually had a thing with Kerwin Ray, my mentor, and we were talking about different market strategies. And I'm very I was questioning a fellow working, he's more of accountant. He's like, well, you need to invest this in a funnel and marketing and that. And I said, I'm not like that. I'll sponsor like a team or I'll do something right. No, I won't charge someone for something that works. And he goes, you need to show him that your good nature works for you. And he goes, give me an example. I said, well, I put up a TV for a guy one time and I ended up doing $5.5 million worth of work for him. And then he goes, well, there you go. Because I went to the TV and I'm like, and I didn't go, well, that's $79.99. I just said, no worries, let's have a fucking dinner. Like, it's grand. I don't mind if you don't do anything. No attachment.
So reciprocity is big with you.
Yeah, massive. Like, I even still to this day, like with clients, if we lost clients, I have never looked at my clients like genuinely. I don't look at them as I need to make money off you. I'm friends with them, and if they don't work with me, they don't work with me. But I'm still going to be friends with them. I don't mind. Like if they're good people and they make different decisions and they don't use my service, that's all right. Like as well, I'll still be friends with them, and hopefully we can do business. But it's not going to be the defining.
There's something in this. I haven't quite put my finger on it, Ollie, but there's something in this. So you feel, does it come from it sounds like an overused word, but
yeah,
is there in your mind's eye and what goes on inside of you, do you come from a place of abundance, as in enough of everything for everyone and it doesn't matter because as long as I keep taking action, I'll keep creating whatever I want to create?
Yeah, no, for sure. I have a massive an abundance mindset, and then like the manifestation stuff like falls into place, like stuff like, all this you've done for yourselves. It all falls into place. Obviously you have to take action, but when you have the good mindset and you're feeling good, you can do a lot of stuff. Like I don't get attached to like, oh my God, this is going to go wrong and that. Like I've survived. I'm 38, survived 38 years. I want to have an abundance mindset, do good by people, good stuff will happen, and just keep taking action. It's very easy,
You could put that on a mug. Do good things to people and good things will happen to you.
Yeah,
Cal and I resonate. I mean, that's our philosophy. And it's always been it's certainly something I've had since I was a youngster. And it's not easy for some people to swallow that. They don't get it. They don't get it that, hey, if you just do good things by people, it may not come back to you in a lineal way. If I do good over here, it may not come back to me this way, but it will come out here or come this way over here. And it never fails. Reciprocity is a proper law.
No, 100%. And like, same as that. I try not to ever get attached to it. Like, it's just like, just do these good things, be involved, be your genuine self and your authentic self as best you can. And like, people are going to see that and people are going to say, geez, I actually want to hang out with you. I want to work with you. Geez, I'd love for you to come, or what can I do to help you? Like, cause you're always helping someone. They're the type of people anyways you want to be around. I've like, lucky in the last couple of years, I've really curated my friendship groups and like, just really do hang out with really just good people. Like, and that's from all walks of life. That's from millionaires to regular people who just walk the streets, just regular good people who work in the coffee shop. I've just got this diverse group of friends that everyone brings a different aspect, and it's really good,
So in regards to your growth, your personal growth, when did you start investing in yourself? So you sort of were starting to piece the world together. You had your drive as you had that you'd built that mindset. You had that drive, the spark from your dad passing. When did you sort of realize, I'm noticing all of these, now it's time to maybe do some personal, professional growth as such?
Yeah, so like I suppose when I done that college course, that was just something you'd done. Like I didn't really think about it really improved me. I thought about helping me get a better job. The first real step, I suppose, before my father died, then 2 nights before he died, I had a dream that he was going to die, and I said it to my cousin, and I knew, and he could see the coffin and all this stuff. So I knew there was something more out, and knew there was more things happening in the world than just we're just just fucking people. So, and some people might think you're crazy, but I know what I know, and after that, I sort of always had this, there's something more out there. And I remember the first course I done was actually with you guys when you were working for your old company. It was that Secret Creating Your Future.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
And it was like $100 course. I remember scrolling through it. And I seen this and I done this course. And I remember thinking, geez, this is $100. Like, and I was just after spending 2 days with you guys and just looking into the future and what you could. And I always had this magic in me for being over. And well, the thing when I was growing up, my mom would go, something to come on the television, win a trip to New York. And I was like, I'm going to win. Like, I know I'm going to win that prize. I can win it. And I would just believe it. And then if it didn't win, I wouldn't be upset. I'd say, oh, hey, look, next time I go on, I still believe I was going to win it. And mom was amazed by this. She nearly started to believe me at the end of it. You know, every time she said, fucking hell, So I had this, when your course came in about like visualizing your future and all these things you can do, I was like, this is me. This manifestation type of stuff is me, is what I'm about. And I done that course and it says, I was employed at the time. And I just tried to do things that kept me out of trouble at the weekends. I wanted to improve. So I done that course the weekend with you guys.
Yeah.
And I remember drawing a picture, my sports team in Ireland, I wanted to sponsor them a jerseys if I ever set up a business. And I drew a picture of the jerseys and I put the name of my company on it. And then by the time, 8 months time, I had the same notepad from the start in the NLP course and I opened the book at the last page and the picture was there. I'm like, oh my fuck. Just dropped the lights. I actually genuinely forgot about it. I know what to say about like,
that's what happens.
Visualization and all that, but I'm like, I actually genuinely forgot it. And I'm like, oh, because at the same time I was getting samples at that 8 months out, I was getting samples over and back from Ireland, from the guys on the team. They're watching get this jersey, watching that. I'm like, fucking notepad. It's crazy. It was crazy. So that was the first course and then done years and then went into the NLP is sort of a more practical thing, which I resonated with a good bit. But then I met Alex Waters, who done that course with you guys as well, and the NLP. And then I went to the bridge experience, which was more somatic work and more of the the personal side of the development. That was really, really good for me to release like different things, emotional stuff like and all that. So that was very good. And continued on. I met Kerwin Ray in a restaurant in Byron Bay, Serendipity, became friends with him and done his courses and continued. That's it.
You guys were pretty close and it sent shockwaves through the whole professional development industry when he passed away. I remember exactly where I was with my wife driving to a weekend away and reading the news, and it was just heartbreaking for me. And I'd never met him in person. I'd seen him on stage before. I'd been to his event. I'd also like watched and consumed a whole bunch of his content, and was hugely impacted by his message and the way that he presented it. And I know that you guys were good friends. Was that another kind of big event for you that I guess shapes where you want to go now?
Yeah, look at one of my biggest values is loyalty. Like I'd only text. I wish I got to know Kerwin better, and I've learned an awful lot of lessons by his passing. Like I know him, and I probably looked at him, I idolized him more than I should have. And I can remember reflecting on a conversation. He just wanted to be regular and hang out, and I always like looking up at him, and he was like, "You know as well as I know," and he wanted that, and he craved that regular. Which he had with a good few people. But if I was to turn back time, I would have probably treated him more as let's just talk as friends. I was looking at him as a god type of thing. And he's a really good guy. I'd actually text him I'd only texted him a week before he passed away or 2 weeks before he passed away for his birthday. And it was a big shock that he passed away. And it's definitely left a big impact. He's left a massive impact, completely transformed my life. His community still transforming my life, friends and friendship in there. But his passing had a big effect on me as well. It was like, it sort of resembled the time when my father passed. It's like, the head of the community is gone, or the king is down, and who's going to support now? And it's just, I felt like even in his community, I felt like, Jesus, where's people? We need everyone to pull together now. And that was, it was a big thing for me. And even it was very emotional. I didn't think it was as emotional as it was until afterwards, how much of that effect was on me. But good. We still could learn that.
It was interesting what you just said then about, what I took from it was taking people down from the pedestal.
Hi there, this is Connor and Callum from Connekt Coaching. Hope you are enjoying the Unplugged podcast. Nothing lights us up more than seeing businesses thrive, especially in uncertain times. We have 32 combined years of doing nothing but mentoring and training businesses from around the globe in order to increase their revenue and thrive in uncertain times. So what we would like to do is share with you a little bit about what we've discovered over the last 32 years.
We've created this amazing business model called the Forever Business Model, and we want to give it to you for free. All you need to do is jump down into the description below. There's a link there called Steal Our Forever Business Model. Click on the link. There's a 9-minute video that you can watch where we unpack everything you need to know to implement it in your business right away. They don't ask to be put up there, but psychologically we put people there archetypally because they're on stage and they've got these big energies, and we naturally do that, especially if they're further ahead on their journey, and we're kind of following them along. But it's interesting. Then what you said after that is like, the king is not there anymore, or the head of the community is not there anymore. It's kind of like this evolution of your own thinking and your own mindset to take everybody down from those pedestals, and to when you look around for who the leader are, like you got to start looking in the mirror, I guess, in many ways, because that's what's required of you at the time. Do you see that as something that you're noticing as you're going along, that these events with these big personalities in your life, your father, then Kerr and Ray, do you see yourself sort of starting to step up more and more? I know you've always been a leader, even in your own business, but do you see that starting to grow? Because you've created this 7-figure, well-respected business now, but you're talking about speaking, and you're talking about mentorship. Has that kind of been a part of where you're seeing yourself go in the future?
Yeah, look, it's interesting you say that. It's probably the part where I'm at now at the moment. It was always looking, this came up when I done LNP, like everyone would say, oh, geez, Ollie Gordon, full of confidence. Ollie Gordon, he's very sure of himself. But like and he thinks he's great and all that. That's what the impression that I might give off. But like worth and confidence are some of the things I've struggled with. And I'd always look for, Jesus, look at Connor, he'll present. I wouldn't be able to do that. Or Callum, like they've trained under Tad James, they're going to be way better. Rather than just be like maybe delusional in that sign, not delusional, but be having that confidence. You know what? Fuck it. Stand up on the stage, give me the fucking mic. I'll do it. And if I fuck it up, I'll be better next time. Yeah. Get to that stage now, it's like, who cares? Like, no one really thinks about what went wrong. It's get up and get at it. And I've always sort of left that higher leader stuff. I'm a big guy in a small fishbowl, but like I'm afraid to hop out of the fishbowl and let someone else see me. And like your inner critic would be like, Jesus, might be Callum and Connor, and there might be someone from Kerr and Ray down there, and they're seeing me on stage. I didn't know the answer to that, but like, who gives a fuck? Like, good people who only want to improve you and make you better. And I'm at that stage that I want to take the step to be more confident, and people can come up to me and see admire us. The confidence.
You're probably already there, Ollie. You just don't realize.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, we get there.
We could probably ask about 20 or 30 people, and you're the king in their world, and you're on the pedestal in their world, and you don't even know it.
You never see that yourself, though.
Yeah. I think that's humility, isn't it? That's
not everyone would say that about me, but
but it's true. Like, I mean, look at all the, one of the big things that you're known for is, you know, when other Irish travelers come to Australia, you're there lifting them up, helping them up, and helping them get a foothold in Australia. And like you said, you're with that gentleman that you hung the TV for, you know, your family, you know, the football team back in
Yeah.
Ireland with the jerseys. At every step of the way, you know, the cornerstone of your success is really built upon helping other people and you
Yep.
rising as a result of that in the process. So, you know, I think what you're really saying is you've been doing it all along, but now it's
Yeah,
time to let more of the world see those attributes.
100%. But another thing I've actually learned, that Kerwin used to always speak about, it's like if you do it for money, you're never fit. It's that one thing. If you do all this stuff for the good of things, the money comes. Like it's like I genuinely we could whatever make hundreds of thousands or billion. It wouldn't matter to me. Like I remember going home to Ireland to a wedding one time, and a big strong guy, and I respect him. He resembled my father. Big, and he was bringing his pint of Guinness, and he came out and he gave me a pint of Guinness, and he said, I want to thank you so much for what you've done for my son in Australia. When he came over, I just felt like, fuck, oh my God, this is what I'd say. You know, that sort of stuff is what it's about for me.
Beautiful, bro.
Yeah, no, or giving someone an opportunity to, like we had one guy, Matthew, and he got an opportunity to go from being on the ground to getting a job with Light Source BP, which is a massive company like British Petroleum. And it was just to be able to make them connections through my connection was just, it was so fulfilling. And like you could say, give me $100,000 this minute. That would not mean as much to me as that they're making them connections. And that's 100% what it's about.
So the birth of Trade Connects, is it Trade Connects?
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Yeah. So I was working with my ex-boss in Perth, and then we moved to, I was on a crossroads in life. I was like, I'm going to actually move back to Ireland or something. And he's like, set up Sydney for me. So ended up coming over to Sydney, worked with him in Sydney for a while, got the desk up and running. We had a falling out. We genuinely had a falling out. We were out. I was given everything I could. I was giving everything I could to his company, and I'm a very loyal person, and it just wasn't enough. And then we were out one night. We were at a stag party for the girl in the office. The girl, Mima, who was running the whole office in Sydney, and her husband didn't really know anyone. I'd organised a stag, and it just kept at me. And he said, "Oh, you just want to do this, and you just want to go to Irish bars." And I'm like, "Jesus, miss, would you just leave me alone? Like, I'm exhausted. I'd used my own money to get to Sydney. Like, it wasn't, you know, I was using my own money to bring in business. I wasn't getting paid very well. Not fake promises, for promises that went on and on and on. So I'm always cautious of what I say, on and on. And then that night, probably drink involved. He said something, loyalty is my biggest value. He said something that just turned my stomach to me. He said, I'll do it with or without you. And it was just like, oh my God, you just crushed me. I just gave you my heart and soul for a fucking year now. And I went to work on the Monday, and like, he wasn't in, he was away still partying or drinking. And then he rang me at 10 o'clock. He said, "Oh, I'm on the way in. We're going to work. We're going to some job." He was blaming me for business not going well. It was going all right. Like, when I look back, it'd be 25 or 30 people in 3 months. Like, none of my new consultants can do what I'd done back then. And I'd no CRMs or HubSpots or any of that. It was just a fucking phone and eat weekends, meet a few people. When he said that to me, he just crushed it. And it was the first time I knew I actually can't, because you've broken something in me now. So he hurt me. And I was going home on Thursday to Ireland for a wedding, and that's why he was in Sydney from Perth. And I'd went to work, and I always said a joke. He was coming in at 10. I just told the girl in the office, she was crying. I said, "Look, I have to go. I can't work with him anymore." And she started crying, and I walked out the door, and I had my phone. I left the phone and the laptop. And then I said, I'd go back. I said, I went back and got the laptop. I said, it's the least I deserved. So I kept the laptop. And left the job and went home, and told him first, "Oh, I'm not feeling well." And then after, I said, "Fuck this. This isn't me going out weak shit." I just said, "Look, mate, it's not working." And I had no money. Like, I had no fuck on. This isn't not. And then I went back to Ireland, went to one of my best friends' wedding in Dubrovnik, and I got a message over there, "Come back." doubled my wage. I'd asked for a pay rise. I was getting like 1,200 or something a week, casual, and like it just was fucking shit. My friends working as carpenters was getting 2.5, 3 grand a week, and I couldn't live on it. And it was just. Then he offered me twice the money, and then offered me cut on commissions and all this sort of stuff. I'm like, you could offer me $1 million now. I'm broken. You broke me. Like, there's no back. I'm not a prostitute. And it was unfortunate. He was a good guy, and I never intended to set up a labour hire business. I was back in Ireland, and it's funny. This is just tell you the personality. I had a credit card like loaded up. And I had loads of points in it, and I was going back to Australia. And Conor McGregor was fighting on some fight in that time. When was that? 2016. And I changed my flights because I got classic rewards points through Amex or something and Qantas. And I ended up flying the whole way business class from Dublin to Sydney with like these points that had maxed out my credit card with for 400 quid. So I flew 4 days earlier because it was a Sunday no one wanted to fly. And I flew back and I had no job. I was down in Sydney Tools looking to buy tools to go on carpentry work, and then opportunities started coming in. People offered me an investment. One person offered me like 100 grand investment. Another good friend of mine offered me to work for his labour hire. And I just felt, I can't really work for your labour hire because it'd be out of integrity. I'd be taking his clients going after it. And then actually his competitor wanted me to set up with him, and he set up with him, and I just do what I do, the sales, and he do the back end. I'm like, nah. And he said, like, do you know what, fuck him. He said, he's treated you bad. And eventually I just said, yeah, look at whatever, I'll do that, but I'm not going after any of his clients. And next thing was, he was going helping me. The guy, Rob Ingle was his name. And he, first week, I was at a desk, $500 a month in Surrey Hills. First week, radio silence, left, not a word. I never heard fucking word from him. I met him 1.5 years later, and I was there. I went on Zero courses, Facebook courses. I set up the company myself online on ABN setup or something. I had no fucking clue at this desk, Googling it, and set it up. And I met him 1.5 years later, and I had 60 people working. He goes, sorry, mate, I didn't answer the phone. I was in a bad place. I said, mate, you haven't answered the phone in a fucking 1.5 years. And he goes, how are you going? I said, 60 fellas out working. I said, just myself. And he go, fucking hell, you're flying it. His company at the time probably had 120 and about 6 or 7 consultants. Mm-hmm. I said, I bet you wish you answered the fucking phone now, you prick. And, I met him, and it was funny, but he apparently was suffering with depression and stuff.
Yeah.
Same as that. Look, I wasn't very happy that, I'd set up a labour hire, but it is what it was. I held myself in the best way possible. It didn't go after any of his clients directly. Some of the people who wanted to approach me to work with them, I worked with them in the end, but,
And when was this? How many years ago?
2016. I registered Trade Connekt, I think the 28th of September 2016. And I put my first guy to work. I'm all for numbers and synchronicity. My first guy to work on the 12th of October 2016. And it was his birthday the day he started.
That's awesome, mate.
So was this through So what is Trade Connekt? So for the audience who are listening, Trade Connekt is primarily a blue collar recruitment company. So what we do is like hire out carpenters, laborers, truck drivers, excavator operators, all that. And then a smaller part of our business is more hiring out like engineers, permanent placements, finding their jobs, making a connection between professionals and companies that we work with. And your little black book of networks was able to help get this off the ground. How did you get 60 people under your umbrella within, was it 1 year, 1 month? What was it?
Yeah, I put up a TV for a guy, and basically, yeah, look, it was Irish community. I think you know about it. Yeah. We're very helpful towards each other, especially I remember looking back, there was one guy, Jim Murphy, he gave me week payment terms, took 3 or 4 guys, and it was all just support. And there was bigger Irish business guys. They rang and said, how are you doing? Like massive companies. John Hughes from Rocktown, he wouldn't even remember this probably. He rang me and says, how are you getting on? And just really supportive. And obviously when you get your fees, they'll pull back and do whatever they need to do themselves. But the people are very supportive. I got into the renewable energy, which was a godsend. That's when I got into renewable energy, which was matched two things. It matched like people from abroad, backpackers who needed to do 3 months regional work. And then we had companies that needed mass unskilled labor to develop solar farms. And I was sort of the in between.
I just happened to be that guy.
It happened to be that guy.
How good's that?
I was born lucky, honestly. The
Yeah.
connection I made was a friend of mine was a commercial manager for renewable energy. And he's like, I might be able to get this is it. We say you make your own luck. He said, I might be able to get you on with my company, get you 10 guys on a project in Orange in New South Wales. I went up and I seen that I was only new. I seen the labour hire company and everyone just dossing around and looking shit. I'm like, I am going to fucking clean this place. I went up there and we got our 10 guys in, and next thing was I've got 2 ready. I've got a guy who can drive a skid steer. I've got a guy who can drive a digger. You take them. Next thing is like fucking pushing, getting on. We were up there every day, making sure fellas are on time, making sure fellas and girls, we hire loads of ladies as well, make sure they're all looking the part, good manners, holding good values, and it just like took off from there.
Before we talk about the acceleration of the growth and where, from zero to wherever you are, what you there seems to be a trend that you work hard. So you've had to create everything that has come your way. You haven't just sat there and meditated and hoped for things to come your way. You've put yourself out of your comfort zone. You've probably had to wake up a couple mornings and convince yourself to turn up to certain places. You have had to, you could have looked at a situation and chose plan B, but you always chose plan A. What qualities do you feel that someone who wants to, who was wanting to be an entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur, not just any entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur, what qualities do you feel that you had ingrained within you that have served you well throughout your career? That's the first set of qualities. And what other qualities have you sort of learned along the way that you realize that other successful business owners have, and then you've adopted those?
Yeah. What qualities, I suppose, is like the qualities to do well is like like was one thing, fear is a great driver. Like my biggest nightmare was all them people who ever laughed or joked at you in the pub that you'd let, that you might prove them right someday. So the qualities, I suppose, is that tenacious. And I don't know if it was you guys that said it or Preston Smile. No, Preston Smile. It's the extra mile that has no traffic. And I just think that extra, when everyone else is like, do you know what? Let's call it a day. No, don't call it a day. We're only getting started here. Keep the foot on the neck. Like push it through hard and make sure it happens, because the alternative is just give up on things and let's move on to the next one. And it's just, for me, it's very weak. Even if it's keep that tenacious. You set that thing out, give it your best. If it fails at your very, very fucking best, then that's okay. But don't be like, well, look, I didn't really know. I did not know. Open up, find the problem, find the solution. Just make sure it's done. That was
just keep going.
Yeah, tenacity, resilience, and then just fucking brazenness. Like it's like we've done things that are like we've done things like if I had to, I'd drive 5 hours and do a full day's work and then drive back that evening. Like, and the people who that's maybe not as much now, but we would do what we had to do to get things done. And that's having good mentors throughout the years who didn't know they were mentoring you. It's like, I don't want to hear why you're not doing it. I just want it fucking done. Like, and just do it. And I don't want to hear that, there was a traffic light, so we had to stop there for 20 minutes. Drive through the field, whatever you need to do, just get it done. Don't care. Go around. So I was just stop, because it's fun. I was do you know what? As a good example, we're in Surrey Hills in Sydney. And for years, we used to always go down and turn right onto Chalmers Street and go across. Always, when I was coming from Randwick, Chalmers Street, go across up in where Elizabeth Street, not where we know. And one time, about a year and a half ago, a building came down in Surrey Hills and the road was blocked over Chalmers or Cleveland Street, Chalmers Street. It was blocked, so you couldn't go that road. So we end up going a different road, and we've gone that road ever since, and it's about 5 minutes quicker. And so we always keep going the wrong way until we figured out that not the wrong way, the long way, because of the main roads. Now we figured out that there's another way. So there's always a way to get to the goal, Yeah, and I don't know what was the next part. Was it moving on? I think is good mentors. It's definitely good mentors, and listening to people who've been through them hard situations. As you know, when you're in the Kerwin Ray group or in the groups that you guys have been in, you've been with people who've had massive problems. I thought my problems when I had business problems, they're like, like I remember I had hate towards guys that screwed me out of a lot of money. And one guy said to me, he goes, you can keep going after and hating them, but it's going to get you nowhere and you're going to lose whatever you have left, or you can park it and go for the light. Get positive, get enthusiastic, hire a junior, someone with you, and just realize that you want to do well, and you can kill them afterwards, but it's not going to serve you to kill them now. Go. And them little nuggets of taking advice from people who've been in really, really hard, difficult situations. It's a mentor or a group of good people who have your best interest at heart is probably the best advice I would say for anyone to have.
What's that saying? If you want to, the quickest way to learn how to climb a mountain is to ask someone who's done it before you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's what did it say? If you want to go, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
That's right.
Yeah. So
and the qualities of other successful business owners that you've been around, do you find that they share the same qualities and skills? The characteristics that you have, or have there been any standout ones where you went, you know what, I met this person here, I met her, I met him, and man, they had this, and I was like, I adopted that, and it made a difference.
Oh, look, I'm still trying to adopt some of them. The one of the biggest one that I'm trying to adopt is that not be so reactive and be calm. And I always know when I come in good mindset, I know the show will go on. But when I see guys who are really successful and do really well financially as well, they're just very ladies. They're just very calm. They're just like, let's sit down. Like I think it was a Dan Martell or someone was saying he was in conversation with Richard Branson one time, and there was a $10 million problem. He said he just finished his game of golf. It's not about his ego. It's just that it can be fixed. Like with the sorters, afterwards. It's like believe in your own ability and being calm, and you can't live your life on an edge. Or this, like I was like when I started business first. Oh, this guy didn't turn up to work. Oh my God, well, he didn't turn up to work. You've tried your best. What can you do? The client, if you've done your best with them and you've done your best with the client, and they're still going to give you shit, maybe the client isn't someone you should be dealing with if they can't understand that once in 6 months you might have someone who doesn't turn up on time.
Have you always had a Teflon approach to things like that? Sticks.
Like nothing.
It's like, oh, whatever. Show goes on.
No, I would have been known to hold a grudge. I suppose nothing sticks. The show goes on, 100%.
Yeah.
So there's times when I could be a bit weaker than others, but usually, it's get on with it.
Got a question for you, Ollie. You started from scratch. It seemed like you put everything together from nothing, literally piecing pieces together, probably in that empty office space that you started in.
Yeah.
Was there ever a point, maybe over a pint or looking over one of those Gold Coast aspect views when you were at an event, or maybe on one of those business class flights back to Ireland, was there ever a point where you were just like, holy shit, like, I did it. Like this is something that I've been working my ass off for years, and I'm sort of surprised or sort of nostalgic about the journey, but sort of also kind of feeling a little bit like wowed by your achievements?
I don't know if I've even still ever had that. Like I still would never. I would still like like that sort of stuff. Oh yeah, I would never. I'd never be. I'd be just proud of the impact I've had on things, and that means a lot to me. But like having been like they making finance or flying business class, like I wouldn't be like, oh my God, I've made it, like because it wouldn't make any difference to me really. It's nice to fly business. I would fly the other way as well, no issues. but like I've never really thought like, oh, I've made it, because I'm probably scared a bit in the past. I'm like, oh fuck it, things could easily go the other way, and maybe it's just my inner talk. It's like, what happens if it did fuck up someday? But like, I didn't know. I'm very privileged to have a good life anyways at the moment, and the freedom is the big thing for me. Is like I have a great team here in Sydney, and I can go away and I can get home to Ireland, and like freedom for me is everything. I don't really mind about having, all this massive wealth and all that sort of stuff. That's grand. If I get it, I want to get it. Like, but it's the freedom for me. Is that's the wow, you've made it, because I could spend 4 weeks at home in Ireland and hang out with my family and not having to be like working and not having to be worried about money and stuff. But that's making it for me,
100%. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. Not so much around the material thing, but just sort of like, I guess, looking at it from the magical aspect of starting from nothing, creating something out of nothing, kind of that magical process, like the esoteric sense of the word magical. Yeah, coming way back to the start where you were talking about the secret of creating your future, and you've created a future that you set out to create, and just being wowed by that magical process that took part.
Yeah, and magic is a big thing for me. Like I always, I worked with a mechanic, and I actually, when I was a young guy, and you wouldn't even believe that these guys exist. They did exist. Like we lived in a laneway in Ireland. They call it a boreen glasses, or like because not many people traveling at the middle of the road is green grass, and glass means green. So boreen is a small road, and glass is green. So the middle of the road is all grass. And I worked with him for years, and he was very knowledgeable. He worked there since he was 15. He taught himself to be a mechanic. And his great word was, you've got the magic. You've got the magic. You've got that magic in you. And it's that spark and that twinkle. And when you have that enthusiasm and that excitement, even for myself, still I do try and breathe it in myself for different things, like, imagine we could do that. Because when you start business first, Kerwin used to say this, the hardest thing about business is it gets boring. Like you continue doing the same thing. It's great starting it. It's great getting the new logo. It's great getting, doing a podcast, and then it's like, oh fuck, I have another podcast. What are we gonna do? We're at 60 now. When are we going? You know what I mean? Like it's the continuous boring, but then you want to hone it in. But like I look back on the journey of when we started, I would think, remember when I got my first contract to get some finance at the start, the contract must have been that thick, and I just went boom, 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 boom. And now I wouldn't get a thing that quick. If you get something, just the difference. Now you get a document and you'd be like, I need to send it to a lawyer, I need to get commercial to look after it.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're thinking, you had no fear. Like I could have literally signed over. I'm not that I had nothing to sign. The thing is, you had nothing to sign over. So you didn't give a shit.
That's classic.
Yeah.
Good job. So Ollie, what's next for you, buddy? Where you've had Trade Connects now for 8 years ish.
Yeah, 8 years we've had Trade Connects. I suppose, look, at probably want to build it we probably want to get to like $25-30 million business, a revenue, and just that's where I'm comfortable at, have a team of 10 people, freedom, having personal freedom myself, creating a good service here in Sydney and renewable industry. We've got a really, really good, with good impact in the community, that I might look at either, like myself probably will look at more into getting into stuff I'm very passionate about. Like I'm passionate about helping people as well, but I'm passionate about the coaching and speaking and all that, and like continuing to develop myself as a person. So that's for me personally, and the business will probably wouldn't get to that size, and that I don't really. I wouldn't mind having one or two small businesses, but I don't want to have my whole life taken up by just, this.
Well, you said freedom is your number one.
Yeah.
Question that we often ask is what's, in the context of whatever context we're talking about, what's important to you? And obviously with your business, freedom is would you say it's your number one value, the most important thing?
It is, yeah. I've done my values exercising that. So freedom and loyalty, it's like, I'm very loyal to the people who are good to me, people who work with us, and, I can never say it for 100%, but I would like to think that anyone who knows me, that I'm very, very loyal, and freedom is the big thing. Like, big thing for me is being there, and my dream is, if I do have a family someday, that the dream is that I am available to be able to bring kids to school, bring kids back, and not be tied to this 9 to 5 stuff. Like that's my worst nightmare. And like that, well, can never say never, but never happen for me. I want to have this free lifestyle, live that life I want to live, and have no regrets. What was it? When my father passed away, the song that when he was going out the church was "The River," and I always live by the words: "Don't sit along the shoreline and say you're satisfied. Choose to chance the rapids and dare to dance the tide." So it's just live that life you want to live, and whatever.
Love that song.
Yeah, it's a great tune.
So we would perhaps see you on stage sometime in the future.
Yeah, if you have any good speaking events, put me up. If you're doing any event, I'm happy to do 10 minutes. I just want to get my confidence up for that and to get exposure. And there's no way of doing it. I don't think I need to redo it.
Correct. Yeah, it's like riding a horse.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta get on it. Got to do it.
We'll get there. Yeah, for sure.
Brilliant. Well, mate, Cal, any final questions for Ollie before we let him get back to his stage presence training that he's probably doing on the side here?
For me, it's just we're incredibly grateful that you've taken the time out to chat with us. Yeah. It's been awesome to be a part of the journey at different points along the way and be able to, I guess, cheer you on from the sidelines, and everything that you're doing in the future. Yeah, we'll be doing the same thing. We'll be cheering you on, buddy, and keep on keeping on, because you're doing a good thing.
Yeah, that's the same as guys. I love seeing your stuff, and I see when you started off, it's always like to support and give a little comment and a like, and we all see it. It's them small things mean a lot to people when they're starting up their businesses.
They do,
absolutely. Mate, love the journey. Would love to have you back, and I'm sure we'll catch up with you again soon. Thank you very much to our audience for listening in, watching it. Ollie Gordon, if you want to, if you need anything that Ollie has spoken about, or maybe you're looking for a mentor, Google him. Amazing gentleman, and many more, life-changing things to come out of your camp. I can see over the next 10 years. The next 10 years for you, Ollie, will be growth on a whole new level. I think, you've mentioned found me a few times, so maybe there'll be some little Ollies jumping out sometime soon.
If you're single, if you're listening to this and you're single, call me.
Here we go. So often we like to ask the guest to talk about a future event that they have on. Maybe you can talk about your future wedding.
And do we have a future event? No. We can put on an event. Do you want to put on an event? We can put on an event.
Yeah, we can put on an event, yeah.
We might put on an event, actually, get a few guest speakers like you guys in as well. So
it could be good.
Yeah. We're doing something in Sydney in October. We could talk offline about that, but we're doing something cool in October. So
yeah, in October we'll be in Sydney, 3-day event. It's gonna be special.
Oh, cool! Yeah, we were looking at getting a panel of people. Like we work with performance psychologists and sales and all this sort of stuff. So it'd be good to have different people on at different stages for a networking event that we do.
All right, deal. Sounds good. All right. I'll end the show live. Let's continue chatting offline. And thank you very much for everyone for joining in. Thank you, Ollie. Thank you, Cal. Thank you very much for watching the Unplugged podcast with Callum and Connor from Connekt Coaching. Hope you loved this guest this week as much as we did. Cal?
What we wanted to remind you of is that if you wanted to steal our forever business model, which is perfect for all sorts of businesses around the world, to start to build extra revenue in your business right away, get instant access by clicking on the description and going into the link below, watching the 9-minute video where we unpack everything. See you next up.